All right, welcome to Best. Dang it! What? I do really well for a while, and then I don't do so well. You're watching Best Denver Psychic here on World Viral TV.
Yeah!
Woo! I'm Gina Nigro, your host, clinical forensic hypnotist and psychic medium, and this is my sidekick, the fabulous, talented, and sexy Steve Valverde.
Hey, everybody. Thank you again for tuning on in. What a great place to be. WorldViral.tv. What the hell else are you doing on a Saturday afternoon? You know, kick back and enjoy the show, man. We're finding out about a lot of different stuff today. Gina, tell us a little bit about some of the guests that we have today.
Well, today we have Rex Fimpgeld and J.J. Wells, and we're going to talk about near-death experiences. Yeah, but first you were telling me what you've done the last couple of days, and I thought that was so awesome, the paranormal meetup. Was it? Tell us about that.
Yes, well, I've been really busy, as I usually am, because I get around.
You were going to come naked. I'm so disappointed.
Well,
Maybe next episode. Yeah,
Yes,
I think Chris has the patches all ready for the. Yeah.
okay, yes, and that would be, and that would work well. The Paranormal Research Forum, it meets out at the Jefferson County Fairgrounds on the third Wednesday of each month, and they have anywhere from 50 to 75 people who attend every meeting. I know because I've attended enough, and I count. And
Nice.
the presentation, the presenters are across the whole spectrum. They have UFO abductees all the way to near-death experiencers, as well as other psychics and reincarnationists, people who regress you back to past lives. So it covers everything because it is paranormal.
Absolutely. Now, do you think, I'm always saying I think paranormal isn't necessarily psychic. So you can experience
Right.
paranormal events and not be psychic. Or sometimes psychics don't experience paranormal events.
That's right.
So one is not exclusive or is exclusive sometimes to the other. So what did you find the most interesting about this meetup? Was there anything that really caught you?
Yeah, this one was about reincarnation and about being regressed back to your past lives. And interestingly enough, we've had hundreds of past lives, which sort of indicates we're slow learners.
All right. Well, I know I am.
So, but the past life that you actually land on tends to apply to whatever is going on in this life right now, including relationships, your health, your career, all of those key things.
So how does that fit in with near death? I guess that's that you don't go on to the next life because you were only near death, right?
Well,
We're going to stay away from walk-ins because that's
Right.
a whole nother thing.
Yes, yes.
You'll just have to
Yes.
consult the Google Oracle for walk-ins. We'll have another show on that.
Yes. Now, with near-death experiencers, unlike people who don't come back to their bodies, they actually come back. And they will reincarnate later, just as you and I will, who haven't had a near-death experience. But many of the near-death experiencers that I've talked to and who I've listened to in their lectures and in their workshops is oftentimes they have a soul contract where they were supposed to do certain things in this lifetime, and they weren't doing them. So they were taken out, in effect, to sort of get their attention and remind them of what they came here to do. And that's a really common story across many, many NDEers.
Well, of course.
Okay, Rex has spared himself. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we don't know about Rex. Well, I mean,
Okay.
I know that's not true. We didn't have the naked show yet. But
Yes.
when you come back,
Yeah.
we'll-
Yes. Guests must arrive.
yeah, well,
But
we'd love to see it get that way from here, actually.
but
You don't have to come that way.
Oh my God! All right.
yes, yes. So that's really the deal. And so people, when they're on the other side, they are reminded, sometimes in a gentle way, sometimes they're yelled at because they've ignored this before. It's not uncommon for near-death experiencers to have a couple to 4 near-death experiences, which means they're slow learners.
I know I'm no exception to that. That's for sure. I definitely a slow learner myself because that's exactly what I felt like happened. I was not on my path. I was having ideas of where I thought I should be, and I remember even before it happened thinking to myself, life was good. I was doing some cool things and busy, had some good opportunities happening, and just having that feeling like I'm not really where I'm supposed to be, but I also felt like I had no idea how I was going to get there. And I remember, my roommate at the time, a long time friend of mine, that I guess we go back almost 20 years, had made the comment to me, Rex, I know things are good and all, but something seems a little off with you lately. You just kind of seem a little bit lost. And I was like, yeah, man, I don't know what's going on. I kind of feel that way too. I feel like everything is good. I should be, excited, but, something does feel off. And literally within about a couple of weeks of that conversation, I had to fall.
Now, you both kind of talked about that there were like perhaps overseers, people that control or whatever. Describe to us, I guess, for the listeners and the watchers, who you're talking about. There's somebody that's pulling your leash and letting you know that, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Who are you binding this soul contract with?
Interestingly enough, it's our own contract that we agree to, and we are pulling our own chains. And that's part of the contract, which is, if I'm getting off course here, I sign here on the dotted line, you can pull me out and remind me of the contract I signed.
So that it's just the same it is you.
Yes.
I'm having trouble following that. Try one more time in maybe different words. I don't know.
Getting into this level, it's definitely very abstract because our soul is the divine part of our being. And at the basis of it all, there's one soul, call it one God, one ultimate observer, one source. But at the same time, there are multiple souls having multiple experiences, but it's still all the divine. That's that connection to the source. Because when I was when I was, I guess, next to death, my feeling was that I was experiencing my own pure being, the purest sense of myself, but at the same time, it was pure being itself. And I don't know, for those that didn't see the...
It was you, but it wasn't you?
It was all me, though. That was just it. It was like the me in the ultimate sense. But in saying that, I was everything.
But it was you and it was me, too, right?
Exactly. 'Cause the Mayans had a salutation that they used, which was in la catch. That basically translates into I am you, excuse me, and you are me. Really an expression of that extension of each other. We're an extension of each other's consciousness, based in the same consciousness. I think we talked in a past show about, essentially we're all God experiencing God's self through us as we experience God. The whole idea of this whole creation, the dualities of light and dark, good and evil, male, female, so on, all the relationships that differentiate all of us to make you, me, and her, and everybody else, the sky blue and the stars. And it's all about the experience. And without all of those dualities and all of those separate relationships, the divine could not have the experience of itself. Which is, gets into some really abstract stuff, but that's what got revealed to me is what's really going on.
Yeah, I'm not having a hard time processing it. I'm just processing it. So, sorry that if I take a couple of minutes.
No,
and
it's all right.
Pause
That's
and
the
really
point.
try to think
That's
about
the
it.
reason we're here on Best Denver Psychic. Tune in every week. Get a nice little education. And
in a way, it's like explaining quantum theory. There's so many, the true essence of our, of matter, the true essence of our existence is very abstract. There's so much about quantum theory that doesn't make sense. And to me, this all correlates together. A lot of what quantum theory is, even though it's a science, and I know many scientists really kind of frown upon this idea of trying to connect spirituality and science. There are, in fact, more quantum theorists who are starting to connect that because to me, they're really saying one and the same. So when you're getting on this level of reality, it's very abstract in terms of what we're used to in our corporeal existence here.
And this is the reason that you sometimes have these panels, correct? So you guys actually have panels, and you want to talk a little bit about what you were showing me a little bit earlier?
Yes, sir.
That you did at the
yes.
What was it? The church?
At the First Universalist Church of Denver.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit.
Yes, they have a really great setup for panel discussions such as this. I sponsored a panel, and Rex was on that one back in October. Recorded the entire panel discussion. It was great. It turned out really great. I posted it on YouTube, so anyone can take a look at it. Also with links to my Facebook and to the Denver Near Death Studies meetup site.
And this isn't scary church. This is not, just because it's at the Universalist church, we use the phrase church, and I think sometimes, there's a lot of pagans and people who've been poorly treated by that segment of society or people of that belief system. And so this is actually about renting a space. And I think that's important
Yes.
for people to know just generally how the business works. And I don't think many people are really know or a huge segment out there that has no idea what psychics are all about. And talk a little bit more about soul contracts.
Yes, the soul contract. And that sort of came out also during the presentation this past Wednesday at the Paranormal Group with the reincarnationist. The presenter, he's a psychologist, PhD, and he regresses some of his patients if they're having real physical problems, health problems, and relationship problems. And son of a gun, if that regression doesn't actually heal them of chronic illnesses or diseases. But part of that presentation, he also mentioned the soul contract and the fact that our souls really never leave the source, which is God. What our souls do is we project a personality into the physical body that is here to experience certain activities for soul growth. So the whole grows. Now, when that soul or when that personality is finished with that lifetime, they're retracted back up into the main soul, and they understand everything that happened to them as well as everything that happened to people that they were associated with in that lifetime. They know everything about you.
Right back into your
That
body.
also means that perhaps let's say, for example, in the 1880s, you were assigned a task and it was something that you had to do over and over again, and and for some reason, like perhaps like maybe you had to do something mathematical, over and over again. And in this next life, the life that you're in now, it applies. Does that sometimes happen? Is that what you're talking about by learning the lessons? You know what I'm saying?
Or learning a skill
Right.
that might serve others in this lifetime in the 21st century.
Or wanting to follow your path in every lifetime, having this one path that is just a passion to get completed. I mean, your own undone work, too, I think,
Yes.
has an influence. So how do people break soul contracts if they don't know, if they don't like what they're doing?
Well, really, it's
A
not.
new agreement would be fabulous.
Well, we're really not breaking a contract, it's simply fulfilling it. I mean, we are powerful spiritual beings. There are no victims. And that's what also came out in the reincarnation information we have. There are no victims. So it's not breaking a contract, it's simply fulfilling it because we are powerful. So it's
Now,
really a piece of cake
Did
if we
your
just stay
soul
focused.
contract, you're saying your soul contract changed, the universe changed it when you were dropped on your head? I love being able to say that.
I really want
I
to drop
love
on my
Rick
head.
Spinkgeld. Oh, he was dropped on his head. That's what we're
Well, that's how I open up a lot of my talks. Hello, my name is Rex, and I fell out of a tree. On my head. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things that I know a lot of people talk about the soul contract, and for me, it's hard to quantify that, just because my experience was just literally something that was, I just felt it, I knew it, and I didn't have any real tangibilities in terms of I didn't have anybody like talking to me per se. It was just I was in this space. I wouldn't say I was seeing light because I was just experiencing it. I had no sense of anything visual, and it wasn't any sense of my physical body. It was just some stuff that I just already knew. And whether you want to say that I was fulfilling a contract, or maybe I was, in fact, if anything, I was probably off track to not fulfilling a contract, because I think that was what was going on here, was it just kind of knocked into me what I was supposed to do. And because of this, it also gave me the opportunity to put myself on the path that I felt like I was so far removed from. So, and so I understand what you're saying, and it's just it's hard to explain that in tangible terms as far as saying actually a contract. But I do feel like that there are definitely things that we are meant to experience on that soul level, because I know
Have you ever read the 4 Agreements?
I haven't.
Okay. Have you read
No.
the 4 Agreements? These are it's a book about 4 agreements that you make. I was just wanting to throw that in. I didn't
Sure.
know if
Actually, I had
anybody
a friend of
had
mine
read
recommend that recently.
Did you?
But I mean, I think that there's something to the contract. I mean, I think it's more of a metaphor for the sense that there's certain, I guess, natural soul instincts, in a manner of speaking, that you're supposed to be doing in the physical body. And it's so easy in this life to be put off that path because there's so many things that draw us outside of ourselves, and as a result, we lose touch with what's really inside. I mean, this whole world is designed, to keep us, thinking about money, and we got to pay our bills, we got to put food on the table, thinking about all those people out there that did bad things to us and all those bad experiences, and of course, then the media is force feeding all this negative stuff down our throats about terrorism and wars and shootings in schools, and it's hard to really
Distractions.
exactly, and that puts us in a space of fear, and when you're in that space of fear, you can't. I mean, you've got to be in that calm, peaceful space of love to be able to really get in touch with that deeper part of yourself.
I totally agree with you, man. And
Now-
that's where I'm at right now.
Now there
Well,
are
you know me, I'm always hugging everybody. So
there's 3 examples of near-death experiencers that I can share about the soul contract. But Edgar Casey, are you familiar with him?
I am. Actually.
Okay, Edgar Casey of the ARE, the Association of Research and Enlightenment. I was heavily involved with that organization a number of years ago in the Los Angeles market, which has more psychics than you can shake a stick at.
California psychics. There's a reason why they say that, folks.
That's right. It is near Hollywood, But with Edgar Casey, he indicated our power and what we're here to do. And it's really easy to be cardinal when we come into this physical body because, wow, it's a body. Let's experience everything a body can experience.
Woo!
Woohoo!
I'm all for
I mean,
it.
we are in the World Viral basement, so,
But,
that's like the theme song.
Yes, but three examples. Edgar Casey, he gave his own self past life readings of what he was in a past life, and one of his past lives was to take a large section of the population who followed him as the leader of the White Brotherhood of Atlantis. As Atlantis was breaking up and sinking into the sea, he took his followers to what is now called Egypt, Northern Africa, because that was a high ground. And he led that brotherhood. And he did massive psychic healings. And he led that country, basically. Okay? But he also misused some of his abilities and talents. So when he reincarnated into the 20th century, he had lost the ability to actually stand there and give you a full-on reading of whatever you needed, health and past lives, because he'd abused it through sex and power, but mostly sex. But he still did a great job here. But his sole contract for the lifetime in the 20th century was to heal others, in particular children. So if you look at the readings that are on file at the ARE in Virginia Beach, 80% of the readings are health readings for children, not adults so much, but for children. So that was his sole contract.
And he started doing those as a child, too, if I'm not mistaken.
When he was 3 years old, yeah, he started from the get-go. He could see auras, all the colors and all the images that are in our auras. So that's one example. Another one is Nathan Wheeler. He has a number of videos posted on YouTube of his near-death experience. And he describes how he was taken out because he was following too much of the cardinal path, and he was yelled at by a 10-foot angel and some others because he was not fulfilling his spiritual contract. And now he basically has a Christian type of church in California where he teaches these spiritual principles. And then another one is a lady, I forget her name, Jennifer. Her interview is also on YouTube. Very successful advertising mogul, so to speak. And she was only 28 years old in Newport Beach, California. She hopped into a new sports car of her friend to take a ride along PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. She was taken out. And while she was gone, she was told, you're not following your life path. You're massively successful in the business world and advertising. You're making great money, but you're not on your spiritual path. And you had a contract. So Nathan was told, Edgar Casey was told, and this Jennifer person was told. All of them.
What's the cardinal path? Explain that.
Cardinal, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of materialism. Having a nice house, having the right clothes, having the right car, having a lot of money in the bank, investing in gold and silver, and all those stocks and bonds.
It's basically what we call, what is it we call? I'm trying to think of the word.
Materialism.
Yeah, materialism.
Yes, and that's called carnal.
But materialism on a soul level. is like an energetic vibration of something that's different from, I mean, I think there's different levels of
It's affluenza is
ickiness.
the word I was looking for.
Affluenza.
Yes, and like
Oh,
you said,
yes,
it's the need.
yes.
It's the sickness that grows within people that I have to have my door needs to be nicer than the guy's door next door. And gosh, he's got a nice car. I need to get a nicer car than he does. And it's that one-upsmanship and that kind of like you said,
Top
it's like-
dogging.
Yeah, but also when you said cardinal, I thought, for example, that it meant like, this is my body, and it's the first time anybody's ever been in my body or used it, or I'm the original soul. Is that also what you're trying to say when you mean cardinal?
Carnal, that's a word that simply means meat.
Okay.
Like if you go to
Oh,
Mexican.
carnal. I'm sorry, I thought you said
Carnal.
cardinal.
I thought you said cardinal.
No.
Yeah,
like the
carnal.
bird.
Oh, I
Carnal.
totally get carnal.
No,
Steve
it's
and
carnal.
Steve and I are Catholics, right?
Yeah, it's carnal.
Indoctrinated completely.
Which means meat, which is
Okay,
of the
okay.
flesh. If you have a lot of money, you can probably purchase a lot of drugs, whatever drugs you want, and you can stay high as long as you like, and you can have as many women as you want.
I think that's encouraging good news for some of our viewers who are just probably waking up. You're
Yes,
watching
yes.
Best Denver Psychic. You're on WorldViral.tv.
Yes, which was Casey's problem when he was in Egypt.
Okay.
Power and ego can really take us down a path that's not so healthy for
Absolutely.
us. It can get us killed.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that was revealed to me as well is that every single person, everybody has, for lack of a better term, a highest path. Every one of us. I mean, this is not exclusive to just a certain select few people. I mean, everybody has that highest path. And I think what ends up happening is we get, again, talking about the distraction I referred to earlier. We just get so caught up in everything you're talking about.
Yes.
And not to say sex is a bad thing, but sex out of context, or sex when it's abused, or sex in excess like alcohol or drugs. I'm not saying don't party and have your fun, but at the same time, anything in excess takes you off balance and definitely takes you outside of yourself.
Yes.
And when that happens, you're definitely not walking down down that higher path. Anything that brings you inside of yourself, which means you're going to be selfish. You're thinking of yourself first. As oftentimes there's so many people, and I'm not trying to stereotype here, but so many people, especially those that have made a lot of money, self-made, there's not very many of those people that can honestly say they didn't screw somebody over to get to where they are. They didn't hurt somebody, didn't maybe put somebody out of business, or maybe ruin somebody along the way. Somebody got hurt along the way for them to get what they had.
Yes.
That's that selfishness that I'm talking about. It's like that reaction, out of fear, because if they take what I have, then I can't have it. And then it becomes a certain obsession, like a lot of addictions. I think making money, much like sex and drugs, alcohol can also become an addiction, which takes us all off of that path. And I think the idea here is the more of us that get on that path, the more of us that make our own little worlds that special place, loving, beautiful, positive, then the more the whole world becomes that way. And that's what I came back with. Fortunately, considering the life that I'd had prior, because luckily most of the bad stuff I did was a long time ago, even well before my NDE. But at the same time, I guess it's when I look at other people's NDE experiences, I guess I'm kind of lucky. I didn't get yelled at per se. If anything, I felt just embraced and comforted. I was, like I was just being, in a way, metaphorically speaking, held by the light, and just warmed and encouraged. So.
Well, and nobody talks about the negative experiences that can come from a near-death.
Oh, yes,
There
they
are
do.
definitely those
Oh, yes,
Why
they
don't you
do.
talk a little bit about that and
How they
your
went to
lead-up?
hell. How they went to hell. Yes. Well, you were a fast learner.
Well, I think I was kind of had some I mean I think the elements were
Spark.
already there. I don't know, but I think
Well, he's a Scorpio.
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm
me
glad
too
you're sitting
sometimes.
over there.
I'm a nice Scorpio.
Yes.
That's what all Scorpios say.
Angels or devils?
Pardon?
Angels or devils?
Yes.
Is
one
the
or
Scorpio.
the other,
Used to
yes.
that because
Yes.
ultimately all souls are light by nature.
Yes.
The reason, if you think about, say, a devil demon type of an entity, I mean, they're miserable beings because they're so far out of phase, out of alignment. Talk about being out of balance. They're miserable. And the expression, the misery loves company, so they like to spread that misery because they don't know any different in that space. But as I've contended before, it's like, the light is at 0 point. All of this experience is like everything oscillating off of that 0 point. All that which comes from light will return to light, even the darkest of the dark. There is no such thing as eternal hell. Yes, I think once you pass over, there are I think a soul can experience that feeling of hell, going into that space of thinking that they're in hell because it's miserable, because they don't know what's going on. They've gone in with fear, and so everything that's happening to them seems frightening. So it can seem like hell. And ultimately, if they come back into further lives or other incarnations, they're going to bring that misery with them. And for anything that's a demon or a devil, it's the same idea. They are completely miserable in that space. And ultimately, some of them are brilliant, so they carry it out in very clever, very, surreptitious kinds of ways. So that's true. Everything, a soul's natural state is love. A soul's natural state is light. And so when a soul's gone far off of that path, it's in a state of complete and total misery. So it's going to spread that misery.
And so what do people who have negative experiences, just describe one of those? I think the stories are fascinating.
Sure. And by the way, these stories are in the general public. You can find these on YouTube or any place on the internet. They're in published books. They're published on blogs on the internet, and they're posted all over YouTube. So this is it's right there, basically on a silver platter for us. But one of the most studied and exposed into ears, his name is Howard Storm, as in thunder and lightning storm. Okay, Howard Storm tells his story. He was the head of the art department at a well-known university, and he's quite powerful in his position. He could make anything happen. He was making good money. He was having lots of affairs on his wife. And he had a perforated ulcer that killed him in the hospital, or was killing him. And as he died, he heard these voices calling his name. Howard, come on, hurry up, come on, we gotta go. Come on, Howard. And Howard stands up from his bed. Of course, his body is left behind laying on the bed. And he looks out the door of his hospital room, and he hears these voices. So he follows them out of his hospital room. And they kept urging him on. Howard, come on, we gotta go. Hurry up, come on, let's go. And he said he walked for about an hour, and he finally thought, this isn't right. Of course, he's dead. His body's back there in the hospital, and he's following these voices. And as he follows the voices become more abusive towards him. Come on, Howard, you idiot, you fat slob, get moving. Well, where are we going? Shut up and just follow us. Let's get going. And it got worse and worse until it was hazy, foggy, and then the whole atmosphere became darker and darker and darker. And pretty soon they started hitting him. He couldn't really see them except they were dark shadows, very dark shadows. And they were insulting him. He said they were saying things to him that no one should say to someone, just cutting him to the bone with their insults. And then they started to rip his flesh off. They're ripping his flesh and insulting him and laughing at his pain. Laughing. And he fought them off, and he fought, and they came at him even more and more. Hundreds of them. That's what he felt, hundreds of them. Until he just ran out of energy, and he just fell to the ground. And then they stopped beating him and stopped ripping his flesh. A few of them walked up to him and kicked him again, and said, "You're no fun anymore." And then he said, "Oh my God, what's going to become of me?" And then a thought came into his mind. He says, "I remember a song in Sunday school." And he started singing it. "Jesus loves me, yes I know." As simple as that, as silly as that. Something from a child. And a small pinprick of light appeared high above him in the blackness. And as he sang the song again, that pinprick of light grew in size. It grew and grew until it finally arrived at his side. And he calls it Jesus. Not that it looked like Jesus, because who knows what Jesus really looked like? But he knew it was a Jesus. It was Jesus. He could feel that. He knows that. And Jesus picked him up very gently, his torn, ripped body, and he says, "I love you. I have always loved you, and I will always love you." And he was totally made whole and carried up out of that blackness into the light. And Howard said, I can't go. I'm too bad. I've done such horrible things. Horrible things. And Jesus stopped and said, you are always part of the light. You are always loved. And all of that doesn't matter. Can you imagine that? It doesn't matter.
Sounds to me like he was already punished, right? When they were, ripping his flesh and all that, because, if Jesus could have came down right before that, don't you think? He stopped all the evil, the blackness and say, hey.
And it was his
let's get
choice.
there before let's kind of intervene before this gets out of hand, but hey, it is what it is, right?
And we are powerful spiritual beings, and nothing can destroy us.
So how did he come back?
So Jesus came back, and he was told what he was about. He had a life review of all the horrible things he did in life, because some have life reviews. Only about 10% statistically of all the documented near-death
Cases of near-death.
experiencers actually have a full life review. It's not really that high percentage, but Howard had a life review.
Oh, you don't want to be part of that small percentage. Stay in the middle
Yeah,
somewhere.
so-
Maybe my dad was right.
So he had a review, and him, like a lot of NDEers, he was given a choice to return to his body or to go on into the light. And Howard, after seeing his life review, what a horrible person he was, he wanted to come back and make amends and do what he contracted to do. Not break the contract, but fulfill the contract, because that's the loving thing to do in the universe. So he did return to his body.
You think if he'd have went into the light, they'd have given him another chance? Okay, roll it again.
Reincarnation.
We're going to do it again and give you another chance.
Yeah.
Start
Well,
off
I
with
think
scratch.
there's actually something to the concept of repentance. I think in order to really learn the lesson, you've got to be able to feel it somehow. I mean, you just can't. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to sound disrespectful to anybody that's going to church, but this idea that you can go to church and feel good on Sunday and then go back to your regular life doing all the same, negative things that you do every week, and then go back to church and just be forgiven again. I mean, that doesn't work.
Correct.
If you're really going to evolve and move past that, you've got to really feel and experience and really understand, get a sense of what you're doing. And I think one of the reasons why maybe I didn't have the whole life review experience is because one of the things that I kept doing before my NDE is I was working towards becoming more conscious. I was working to become more spiritual, but because I have these bad memories that I'd carried with me of things that I'd done and some horrible things that I'd seen and been through, I became so much more cognizant of it, and I kept reliving it over and over in my mind, what I had done, and I became more acutely aware of the damage that I had also done, not only to myself but to those around me, and it became harder and harder to live with, and that was partly why I think it was becoming lost, up to the point of my NDE, because it was a form of repentance. I was experiencing it, so I could learn to let it go.
Do you think that perhaps sometimes that not everyone has an NDE near-death experience,
Right.
And do you think that the folks, and I'm one of them, I've never been even close to,
Me either.
But do you think that? Well, does that mean that I'm on my right path because nobody's yanked my chain and said, or myself, I haven't yanked my own chain, I guess, and told
Yes.
myself, hey, you're not doing the right thing. Or
Yes.
you're not, so I'm on the right path, no matter how sometimes miserable or low down I feel, that, hey, I'm still on the right path. So I got to think that's part of positive thinking. And thank you guys for that.
Yes.
Well, in a way, there's really no mistakes in the universe, but at the same time, that's something you've got to get in touch with yourself. You know if you're on your right path or not. We know right from wrong. We know ourselves. So if something's resonating with you a certain way, then you need to pay attention to that. So if you feel like maybe you're off, maybe if you're having one of those miserable moments, really explore where that's coming from and why you're in that space, especially if it's a recurring pattern.
Right. And I'm not saying for myself. I'm saying for like other folks
This
out
goes
there,
for anybody.
that are for example, the guy down the alleyway that's just not making it in life, and has to drink a lot and all that kind of stuff. Just to,
We all have repeating patterns
You know
that
what
are
I'm saying?
negative.
I mean, but maybe that guy's never had an NDE, but he's probably on the right path.
Yes.
It's possible he may be.
Yes,
There's a lot of
yes.
reasons why, the whole idea, and this is what's sort of crazy about this, it's really all about that experience, the divine, and this gets kind of crazy, but one of the things that I came back
Well,
with.
and I'm mixing the both too. I mean, we were talking earlier about money and that kind of thing, and I'm kind of putting it in that perspective as for somebody that's looking at, well, gee, he doesn't make enough money to be happy or whatever. In my mind, that's probably what I'm thinking. But to him, maybe he's the happiest guy in the world, and he is,
That's
like
true.
you said, on his right path.
Well, that's exactly, and that's something that comes from within. I mean, and you think you really do know if you're on that right path or not. And one of the things that I came back with is that the reason why God knows all and is the all is because God is the experience of all. And strangely enough, and this is going to sound crazy, and I say a lot of things.
No
that sound
crazier
crazy.
than anything else we talk
All right,
about
fair
on
Hey,
enough.
this
Chris,
show.
make sure to pull out that tinfoil hat, dude. You got that somewhere.
If
We'll
you
start
want to
throwing it on.
email
Yeah,
the
we got
show,
it.
we're going to provide those to our listeners if you call in and ask for one.
But anyway, tinfoil hat time. Let's do it.
But yeah, okay, thank you. I'm envisioning that now.
I love that.
But basically, there was, and this is getting back to the source of creation itself. And I mean, there's a lot more to this, but I'm going to just keep it simple for the sake of just we don't have a lot of time. But it's at one point it was just light. Light is the eternal. The light is the infinite. Everything else is finite. Everything else, even the universe itself, as we know it, will cease to exist at some point. It will have a life and it will die. And at one point, the light was by itself. And this is kind of a metaphor of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, in a manner of speaking, and even a metaphor of the angels being cast out of heaven. So the light, the source itself, that was just love, it's pure life, intelligence, mind, asks the most fundamental question of all: what am I? It had no relationships, nothing to compare itself to.
Mm-hmm.
There was no duality. There was nothing. It was just light. So it was like almost in a way, the light was almost given into its own temptation of what am I? How do I experience what I am? So with that, dark came out of light. So not the other way around. It was not light that came out of dark. Dark came out of light. And in a sort of spiritual mitosis. And the dark started to split off, the light started to split off. Then came the gray area, which is where we come in, somewhere in that gray area. And with that came the plethora of experiences, from everything from the level of an electron all the way to the virtually infinite multiverse, or seemingly. Even that has its...
Almost a chicken and the egg type of thing, because in order for there to be light in the first place, what is it illuminating? Dark?
Well, light is more of a metaphor.
It
It's not light in the
creates
sense of the electromagnetic
the
spectrum,
dark.
not light like this. To me, and then of course, it's interesting because people have asked me this question before, and I was like, I don't know how to explain
Well,
that experience
vibration
any other
is
way.
the spectrum scientifically.
It is, exactly.
That's how we can see it.
Right, not light.
And you were going to say something about what I just said, too. So go ahead and about the light and the dark.
Well, everything comes from the light, including dark.
Well, what I'm saying is that it has to be dark in the first place
No.
for there to be a light.
No.
In order to light up the dark.
No.
I know it's abstract.
Does that make sense?
No.
It does,
mean,
I
is that
understand what you're
you were-
saying, and
No,
that's what I
and-
thought
and-
for the longest time, too.
And that's our physical lives.
You don't want to have to get dropped on your head, do you?
Yeah, Steve, be careful. You know.
I'm stuck in the gray area. I'm going to go with Rex.
I'd rather, never mind.
Now, Howard Storm was a good Christian. He went to church every Sunday. He was a very good Christian. He was also a Scorpio.
We get a bad rap all the time.
I know. But when people return from these experiences, from their death, and they do return from their death, their life is 180 degrees different than what it was before. Many NDEers go into the ministry. They go into counseling of some sort. They go into teaching things of the light. And they move away from the cardinal materialism. There have been multi-millionaires who've had near-death experiences, and they turn their business acumen to helping others. It's 180 degrees.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you would have told me before my NDE I'd be doing TV shows
Right.
like this and talking about this, doing
Yes.
talks, writing books,
Yes.
I would have laughed at
Making
you.
films.
Really? Me? Are you serious?
Yes. In television? Yes.
What right do I have to sit down and talk about any of this kind of stuff, considering the life that I've had? Who am I?
Yes.
Well, and so I guess that brings us to your joint project or your project, JJ. I'm not exactly sure, what's going on, which is the NDE NDE.
meetup?
Pardon? Yeah, the meetup
Yes.
and the support system that is provided to people who have experienced NDEs. And I can just imagine. I mean, this is an experience that you can't just go around talking about it everywhere. Where I think sometimes the question, I'm sure is, where do you find validation?
Yeah, good point.
A prophet's never welcome in his own hometown.
Good
right?
point.
And so, you have a platform for
Yes.
people to come and tell their stories and talk
Yes.
a little bit about that.
Yes. I have the Denver Near Death Studies meetup group, and we meet at Greenwood Village City Hall once a month.
And people can find that on Facebook as well.
It's mostly on Meetup because it's people here on the ground who can attend. I have members on my Facebook site who are all over the country, but they really can't attend or
Fabulous stories.
or help support.
Of course, doing
And yours?
research for the show and trying, wanting to do right by my lovely and talented psychic panel here.
Yes.
I thought the Facebook page was fabulous. I loved seeing the stories, and
Yes.
it was definitely riveting. I
So
think.
plug that a little bit. Just let the folks that are watching know exactly where to find that Facebook page
and your meetup.
and the meetup.
How do
and all
people
that
go
good
and find
stuff.
a meetup?
And then I
Well-
think we have to take a quick break right after
Okay,
that.
sweet.
Okay.
We're going to do a tarot reading right after the break, so stay tuned.
Okay, just go to meetup.com and do a search by putting in the words Denver Near-Death Studies, and it'll come right up.
The sound effect and all.
Yeah. How
It will
nice.
come right up. And if you go to YouTube and you want to see the panel discussion we had, and Rex is on that panel discussion at that church, here's a printout, posted a couple of videos. You can look at these and hear the stories, the unique stories of each one of the panelists who spoke about their death. Very awesome. And of course, every one of them have had a 180-degree life change.
Now, is that a YouTube channel that folks can find, or
Sure.
they just have to? What's the YouTube channel?
Oh, just go to youtube.com and put in Denver Near-Death Studies.
All right, there we
and-
go.
And you can also
It'll
go
come up.
to my Facebook page, Best Denver Psychic, and we have links to your information and to your Facebook page, and Rex, as well as your projects that are coming up.
Right?
And one last thing is I'm sponsoring another NDE panel with a batch of new NDEers who've not spoken in public before. Rex will be on that panel again, and it will be in May at the First Universalist Church.
Awesome. Well, we're going to take a quick break. You're watching Best Denver Psychic here on WorldViral.tv. And be sure and catch Steve Thursdays from 5 to 7 on MileHighUnderground.com for the Frieza Block show.
That's right. We're
Freeze the
gonna
block
be-
is awesome.
Rex,
Yeah, we're going to have a good band on this week. I'll remember the name.
yeah. We'll be right back right after this. BestDenverPsychic.com. We'll see you in just a minute.
Thanks.
O'Mara Ford and Volkswagen presents the Uncle Nasty Valentine's Day Mass Wedding.
What can I say? Another year's gone by. What would I do without you in my life? How did you know you could break me? You could break through my ego. Say it softly. I love you so. What can I say? What can I do? I know I'm nothing without you. This time I pray we'll make it through. 'Cause I know I'm nothing without you. And it's true, yes I do. I love you. What can
Tonight's the night, and I know that you're down. You're the hottest girl in sight. I'm the alpha male. Mother Nature will prevail. And when I kiss your lips, it's like the holy grail. Everything you do drives me crazy.
There you go. There, that's perfect.
You gonna marry this? No, no. My magic powers have gone. Now we can't get married, thank God.
Thanks again for spending that day with us here on top of Red Rocks. We're here for the 11th year. How about some noise for that? All right, you guys ready? Yeah! First off, how about them Broncos? Yeah! Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Dear friends, family, Facebook stalkers, Twitter freaks, and the three of you that are still on MySpace, welcome to the annual Valentine's Day Mass Wedding right here at Red Rocks.
Thanks to our friends at Colorado Harvest Company, Gucci Cakes, gifts provided by Tea Salon, the Yes Lab, Milk and Honey Bar and Kitchen, the Boardroom Steakhouse, the Continental Room, Herman's Hideaway, the Oriental Theater, Grafenberg Productions, Comedy Works. Plus, high-altitude photography will be taking wedding photos. Every participant will receive a free download when O'Mara Ford and Volkswagen presents the 11th annual Uncle Nasty Valentine's Day Mass Wedding. If it's time to step up to a Ford or a Volkswagen, see O'Mara Ford. Brought to you by WorldViral.tv.
All right, and welcome back to Best Denver Psychic. I'm your host, Gina Nigro, and I'm here with our fabulous guests, JJ Wells and Rex Fimpgeld, and this is the time of the show, Steve. We're burning it on down to zero.
Yeah, we are. It's gonna
All
be,
right.
This is one of the funnest times, though. I love this, and this is what makes, I guess, Best Denver Psychic
BestDenverPsychic.com. You can't get the website if it's not true. And we had a great time at the Uncle Nasty Mass Wedding once again this year. I think he's been doing this for 11 years now.
Yep,
the
and
11th
I've gotten
annual.
married to 11 different women. So
All legal.
keep it going.
You know, I was really surprised how many people there, were first timers, and so it was great fun. O'Mara Ford, go down and drive a new car today.
Love those
fabulous
guys.
sponsors. Yep. And so I say we get started.
All right, let's do
All right,
this.
I'm going to shuffle. And why don't, just a little bit to refresh our viewers, my big thing, don't give the power to the tools because the power's inside you. And sometimes we talk about magical items and what makes those magical. And I do think that it's the cosmic consciousness, the belief in these items that literally transfers the vibration of those into, a power that
Make it
we as
alive.
consciousness channel. Why don't you talk a little bit about that as I shuffle my cards?
Well, I think it really comes down to what's inside, our intent. I mean, we create and we manifest. And if you're reading the cards and just going at the face value of the cards, then you're reading it from the surface. You're reading it from the outside in, and it's supposed to be the other way around, from the inside out. And trust your intuition. Trust how you feel. Trust what resonates. And whether you're reading cards or whether you're just walking down the street and you get a feeling about something, maybe you're noticing patterns around you, certain circumstances that keep happening, certain numbers that keep happening, certain things that keep being said to you. Listen to those things, and especially if they resonate with something, then explore that. See how it makes you feel, and how and what is revealed in terms of your feelings, your insights about that from within is probably going to be right. It's probably going to be accurate.
So anybody who wants to anybody who wants to come in and and volunteer to get a reading, you can certainly call us. And what do you think about the readings? I mean, I think people have to generally accept if or not this is a reading for them.
If somebody comes in with this idea that you've got to prove this to me, I'm not sure I believe this, then of course it's a lot harder to read somebody because they've got walls up, they've got their doubts, and the energy is definitely not flowing. It's hard to connect with an energy with somebody who's blocked off. And the thing about any of us that are working in the light is we're not going to impede upon somebody's free will. If they really don't want to be seen, then we're not going to try to see something that we're not really supposed to, whether we can or not. Because, when I was younger, I would do things like that because I've always been good at reading people. Even before I had the NDE, just somebody who just always good at tuning into people. And sometimes I would do it for the wrong reasons, and of course, then there'll be energetic repercussions from
Oh,
that.
I
There's
feel
another
so
show,
convicted
probably.
right
That's
now.
what we're calling it now. We're calling it energetic repercussions.
Hey, and there are, but I will totally
Karmic
snoop on
repercussions
people.
either way.
Okay, so let's put our cards down here. I'm going to go ahead and draw them if no one has an objection.
Okay, the first card you drew. Let's talk about it first before you.
Well, we
keep
want to
flipping.
get them in
Okay.
perspective. There's
All right.
78 cards in the traditional tarot deck. I learned to read with regular playing cards, so I really like the poker method of laying out and whatnot. We're going to interpret them in the order in which they're laid down.
Okay.
So let's kind of put it in perspective first here, so no one panics. And I think I'm going to follow my usual. I don't do upside down cards, so I'm going to turn that over because you don't have that in regular playing cards. All the cards are the same, upside down or
Right,
right
right.
side up. I found that regular playing cards was actually a very unpopular method.
Yeah, yeah.
People had a real stigma against games of chance, and okay, can we see that, Chris? We can. Sweet. Okay, so what we have here is, the whoever this reading is for, or whoever accepts this reading, you're a master of communication. There's no confusion. So bring those maybe questions or issues or conflictions that you have out into the open boldly. If you want to open doors for yourself, this is the tarot of the 78 doors, and if you'll notice, that door is closed. So for opportunities and energies to be able to come in and out, if you're a master of communication, it's time to employ that if you really want to get ahead. And a fabulous romantic card for whoever this is. This is a profound admirer. It's always nice when romance comes up because
Yes,
really we
indeed.
want to hook a brother up.
Right.
So if
Or
you're
sister.
wondering if you, well, that's not a problem here. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities for sisters. Okay, and so, yeah, it's an open door, sisters. Come on down. If you want to come watch the show, Wine and Cheese Tray, let us know you're coming. And we got you covered there in the green room. We got the beautiful Carrie back there, and just let us know and we'll hook you up. All right. And so basically the only strength if you want to get things going or get things moving through that are going to nourish you is you're going to have to use your, generosity, basically. The 9 is all about strength, and so the strength really is in generosity. Great reading.
Oh, all right. I like that. And
So what does this person need to know? I'd say like maybe for the next 2 weeks. How about that?
for the next 2 weeks.
For the next 2 weeks, what should be the forefront? Not the meditation. Not the meditation necessarily. But what can you focus on in order to bring this in faster or create maybe a harmony with other things that are going on? Would you like to pick one and turn it over? This is what can we do the next 2 weeks to be empowered? Okay, just know that for abundance, which the 8 is all about, that this is just you're already through the doors of experiencing something that's way more profound. I don't see really any choice in this. I think that when I see this card, it's like the decision has already been made to move forward, even if it seems as if maybe you're moving into the wilderness, I guess. I don't see this as a card that can turn back. So if you got what you have been wanting and you've been asking for something and it's happening and good things are happening to you, you're moving forward, you have admirers, and there's this incredible generosity coming not only from you but from the universe as well, I'm not sure you can go back if you're being filled with fear.
Ain't no going back now, man.
Ain't no going back.
There's nothing you can do about
But
it
you can
now.
come back here to Best Denver Psychic Saturdays at 2 on
Yeah.
World Viral TV. Tune in to the Uncle Nasty Show and Music Buzz Live and all the other great things. Give me a call, 303-482-5490 if you want to set up an appointment. And be sure and go to my Facebook page, Best Denver Psychic.
Yep.
It's pretty much, that's what everything is named. I'm not very interesting. And
Yes, you are.
thank you, Rex. I needed to hear that. And we also have, why don't you talk one more time about your meetup group? And Rex, mention your upcoming projects real quick. I think we got a couple seconds
Okay.
there. Oh, your meetup group. People can find, and people can find your meetup group. What time does it take place?
It's the second Sunday of each month.
Put your mic up.
The second Sunday of each month at the Greenwood Village City Hall at 1:30, which is right after lunch. We have presentations. We have dead people who show up.
Nice. And you, Rex?
Working on actually some TV show clips that I think we're going to be working on together.
Absolutely.
For
You'll see all of, excellent.
World Viral and some other things
excited
called A New
about-
Revolution.
Yep.
And I'm really excited about that. Also just want to make just a real quick comment also that you don't have to have a near-death experience. You don't have to have
Correct.
Exceptional experiences and what have you to have this insight and information. It's a part of every single one of us. That goes for being psychic, intuitive. Every single one of us has this within us. Everybody. I just want to make that really clear.
That's right, Steve.
And that's another show to get into how we get access to that. But the point is just know that we all have that ability. It's inherent within everyone. My website is www.visionoflight111.com. Please take a look at that. And yes, and other than that, looking forward to another talk.
Awesome.
With Trina in
Absolutely.
March, so.
Excellent. And catch Steve, milehighunderground.com. Watch the show Thursday.
Yep, milehighunderground.com. Indeed, man.
All unsigned local local
Unsigned
talent.
bands. We have them on in here every week, and
Awesome.
we're all
And my
about.
band was on it. It was awesome.
Yes.
Quantum Beings of the Miraculous. New album coming out, but thank you, Steve.
right.
It was fun.
Nice.
Lots of
And
fun.
tune in next week, Best Denver Psychic here on worldviral.tv. We'll see ya. Don't give the power to the tools because the power is inside you. See
Absolutely.
you next week. And we're still seeing you.
And you look good.
You look great.
You look
Colorado Harvest Company.
I capture the beauty
World Viral TV is brought to you, as always, by Colorado Harvest Company.
Welcome to the newest Colorado Harvest Company.
Well, I mean, he was a professor.
World Viral.
Never made it to the show. I think you were supposed to go. Well, I can tell you why. When success on Tuesday night. Bad decisions. Bad decisions. Bad decisions. Bad decisions. One more time again. One more drink before I try. This last shot's gonna treat me right. One I don't see between the lines. Can barely read the fucking signs. Bad decisions, not my friend. Bad decisions will be my end. Bad decisions, the rules I've been. Bad decisions, one more time again. Hold my beer, watch this. Taking chances you don't even wanna miss. Always trying to test the limits, living on the edge. Push your luck again, one step closer to